Hey everyone, it's Shay here. Welcome back to the channel. I trust you are good and I trust you are doing well. So today we're diving into something that has been on a lot of people's minds lately, and that is Canada's changing immigration policies and how it's impacting the Canadian economy, especially for all of us that are trying to navigate the job market and the housing market. We are also going to talk about how it impacts everyone else who is also trying to immigrate to Canada despite all these changes. So let's get right into it. Canada has been making some major changes to its immigration strategy. And in the last announcement of October 24th, they cut immigration levels for 2025 to 2027 by about 20%. And that was huge. The changes also could be, by the government assessment, significantly impact the real estate market. But we'll get into that later. The Prime Minister did admit that they made a mistake with increasing immigration numbers so quickly. But the proposed solution has a lot of immigrants and to-be immigrants worried, which is expected. But it also has some Canadians worried as well. Some Canadians have even been reacting pretty extremely. They are saying that these changes will be a disaster and that we need to reverse course immediately. But before we dig in, why was this last immigration cut made almost history? What I heard was that the Prime Minister had a meeting with all the members of his political party, where allegedly he was faced with a letter calling for his resignation. Prime Minister Trudeau, of course, allegedly came out and said he would not be resigning and that he would be halting population growth by making some major changes to his immigration policy. And he was basically making a big turnaround from one of the policies that originally got him elected in the first place. Now, here's a clip from that press conference. And afterwards, we'll get into exactly why some people are so upset and worried about this announcement.
Canadians are justifiably proud of our immigration system. It has made our economy the envy of the world. It's how we've built strong, diverse communities. It's how we've demonstrated that differences can and must be a source of strength, not a source of weakness for communities and society. Immigration is vital to our future. And as a federal government, we have to make sure that that pride, that faith in immigration is not undermined. Now, it is time to make the adjustments to stabilize the immigration system that we need and get it working right for Canadians for right now. Today, we're announcing that we will reduce the number of immigrants we bring in over the next 3 years, which will result in a pause in the population growth over the next 2 years.
Wow. I like the fact that he basically said, hey, we made a mistake. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. So even if you place the blame on the Trudeau government for the negative impact of the rising population, which I think you probably should because he is the Prime Minister, right? I think that we need to applaud him for owning up and trying to correct his mistake and implement better policies, even if it does contradict previous stance of his government. So, well done, Minister Trudeau, for doing that. With that said, I do believe that this change is entirely politically motivated, and it's a response to the backlash that the government has gotten from Canadians. This policy change, I believe, was made primarily because of the result of the polls that showed them that Canadians' faith in immigration was plummeting. We can see the results of those polls right here, showing that an increasing number of people agree that there's too much immigration in Canada. I feel that Trudeau and the Liberals basically have used immigration as one of the strong pinnacles of their government, as opposed to the Conservatives who have generally been seen as being anti-immigration. But based on the polls and the recent immigration cuts, the Liberals may have pushed the immigration pedal a bit too hard. If you ask me, what I think the only problem I see is the government's inability to grow jobs, housing, and the public services to keep pace with immigration. I don't see anything wrong with the growing immigration figures because, just like the Prime Minister said, immigration is good for Canada, and a lot of us have benefited from immigration, and I want a lot more people to benefit. So please also cater to other aspects of the economy, like housing and jobs, to grow as immigration grows, or else it is just a pack of cards that will basically just come crashing down. And guys, try to see this from Canada's point of view as well. It is interesting to note that not everybody is happy to see the pause in population growth. I mean, naturally, because there is a projection of a decrease of 105,000 people over the next couple of years. This is a drastic change from the past 2 years, not to talk of the cap on international students that saw over 40% decrease in the number of international students to Canada. So, not surprisingly, one of the groups that is very upset about this are the universities and colleges that largely have profited and been able to sustain themselves from the higher tuition that international students pay. Now, responding to this enrollment cap for international students, the founder of Higher Education Strategy Associates, Alex Osher, is predicting that this change could be a disaster. He says the negative impact will be immediate and catastrophic, especially in colleges, and slowly creep into universities. And hear this, guys, because this is a big one. Probably 20,000 jobs will be lost. 20,000. It's not going to be pretty. People will lose jobs. He also said that because of these changes, they are probably going to have to shut down hundreds of programs, especially high-cost programs in health and trades. According to him, the government doesn't fund these programs. They are not publicly funded at these institutions. They've been subsidized for years by international students. But it's going to be a program disaster now that the international students are fewer and fewer. The colleges and the universities in Canada's Atlantic provinces out in the east are saying, hey, this isn't going to be good, saying that the result of 3,000 fewer international students across the region is going to result in about $163 million less spending, less provincial GDP, less provincial income, and less tax revenue for provincial governments. And they are also saying that they are going to lose a lot of jobs in the education field if they don't have international students. Now, anyone who thought that international students are not massively affecting Canada's economy should better think again. They are contributing a whole lot to the economy. So well done to all international students. The truth, whether we like it or not, is that the fewer international students that are giving monies to these schools, the less economic growth we will see. We will also see less tax revenue and fewer jobs that otherwise would be needed to support these students. Now, you can argue and say that if there aren't enough domestic students paying enough tuition to support the size of a school or to support the programs that that school offers, well, then maybe that school shouldn't be that big, or maybe they shouldn't offer that kind of variety of education courses. Well, truth is, they have relied on international students for so long that I don't think they know how to survive without them. But maybe charging a higher tuition for domestic students could help. Who knows? Or maybe just accept that you need international students and remove the cap for them to get their study visas while you fix the other issues in the country that international students did not cause in the first place. If you're still watching, thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like it, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I also want to say thank you to the amazing members of this channel. You guys are just the best. You are the best. Thank you so much. And if you want to join and be a member, just click that join button and find out what you get as a member. Now back to the video. Now, as much as we have seen how important international students are, I want you to know that it's not just post-secondary institutions that are upset about the jobs that could be lost and the monies that they won't be getting anymore from international students. Business advocate organizations like the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses, who say they represent small and medium-sized enterprises, well, they're pretty upset as well. They're saying that this immigration cut is a bad move. They say that businesses are telling them that the new skilled temporary worker prevailing wage level requirements does not reflect the reality of small businesses, and it will mean that their firms will struggle to survive. And earlier decisions made by the government to reduce access to low-skilled temporary foreign workers will also have a major impact on the ability of small firms to build the teams that they need to put their products or services to the market. Essentially, he is saying, hey, without international students or foreign workers, well, we're basically screwed. We're not going to be able to get as many employees for low wages, and basically our businesses will not be able to compete in the markets. They also say, yeah, it's true that there are more unemployed people in Canada right now, but also there's still 379,000 persistent vacancies in the private sector. So maybe we shouldn't be moving so quickly to slow down temporary workers. So they are basically saying that they need foreign workers because they are cheaper. Oh, but then again, why do you want to pay foreign workers cheaper? Really, why? Even though I do want foreign workers to be given the opportunity to work in Canada, I question that if a business cannot survive without exploiting temporary foreign workers with cheap wages, well, should that business be in business in the first place? Honestly, one of the immediate risks of cutting back on immigration is that it could deepen Canada's labor shortage, and especially with many baby boomers in Canada retiring. Canada already faces tight labor markets, which drive up wage demands and can slow down business growth. When companies can't find people to fill their roles, especially in fields that demand specialized skills, they might face pressure to slow down or to even close down. Over time, that can affect productivity and competitiveness on a national scale. Truly, the recent immigration cuts by the Canadian government definitely brings up some complex questions and potential long-term concerns. Canada has historically relied on immigration to fuel economic growth, to manage its aging population, and to address skill shortages in key sectors like healthcare, technology, and trades. So scaling back on immigration could have a big impact on Canada's economy in the years to come, potentially creating challenges in several areas. Now, of course, I am not saying that Canada should not address immigration problems. They definitely should, because Canada needs a younger population. With an aging workforce, Canada definitely benefits from having fresh talent and energy come into the country, but it's a double-edged sword. Canada also needs to take care of the people that are already on ground, including immigrants who came in here years back and are helping to build this country every day. On the flip side, some people might argue that immigration cuts could offer a short-term breather, allowing the government to work on infrastructure, housing, and healthcare challenges. But in the longer term, lower immigration numbers mean fewer taxpayers, potentially making it more challenging to fund public services, including those areas the cuts are meant to protect. Now, when it comes to housing, the combination of some changes that were made by the government to help developers to finance purpose-built rental buildings projected to be completed over the next 2 years. And with the population that is expected to shrink for the first time in a long time, well, maybe we will start to see the cost of rent reducing, which would be great as long as other problems don't arise as a result of that. But of course, when it comes to buying a house, it is still unpredictable. Canada's housing market is already strained. And while a lower immigration rate could ease some pressure in densely populated areas, the demand for housing would not simply vanish into thin air. Smaller cities and rural areas that have relied on immigration to grow their populations and their economies, they might struggle without new residents, leading to regional economic imbalances. And if anyone tells you that they know exactly where the real estate market is headed, don't believe them. I think we should just take a wait-and-see approach to what housing prices will actually do in the next few years. So, after all I have said, here is my takeaway. We're entering a period where immigration in Canada is slowing down. These updates would mean big changes for wages, for job availability, and even for housing availability or affordability. Already, we are seeing that colleges and universities are very uncomfortable because, our international students are coming in, and that means lower funds for them and potential job losses, which is not good. Also, businesses that depend on lower wage labor that they get from foreign workers are also uncomfortable. And the labor market could suffer as well. For an economy that is dependent so much on newcomers as Canada is, this policy could be a costly decision if it is not managed very carefully. And truly, only time will tell. Time will also tell if these immigration policy changes can bring any positive changes to the economy. Will wages go up? Will housing costs finally stabilize? Or is this just another temporary adjustment in a larger, never-ending cycle? Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. And addressing those who want to come to Canada, in as much as you are not happy with immigration cuts, please just understand that the purpose is to stabilize the economy for you. If the economy is crap, the country will not be good for you. If you come in and you cannot find jobs or you cannot find a place to live, so let's all keep an open mind and hope for the best. I really would love to hear what you think. Is this immigration policy change long overdue, or are we headed for more problems? Leave a comment down below and let's keep the conversation going. Okay? I would love that. Thankfully, Canada has not banned immigration like these 7 European countries. You might want to check out this video if you want to know more about these 7 countries that have totally banned immigration. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.